The radio crackled just before sunset. The music stopped mid-song. I didn't know that silence could mean the end of something. It was early autumn, the kind of evening when the air cools quickly after dusk. The sky outside our kitchen window was pale and fading, the last light caught in the bare branches behind the house. My mother was stirring a pot on the stove. My father sat at the wooden table, sleeves rolled up, reading the newspaper as if tomorrow would look exactly like yesterday. The radio sat on the shelf above the cupboard. It had always been there. It played while we ate. It hummed while we worked. It filled the house with something steady. That evening it faltered. A short burst of static. A pause, then a voice. Not excited, not afraid, calm. My father lowered the newspaper slowly. My mother did not turn around, but her hands stopped moving. The voice began listing places I had never heard of. Borders, troops, agreements broken. Words too large for a kitchen. I watched my father's face instead of listening to the meaning. His jaw tightened. His eyes did not blink. Then the sentence came. War has been declared. No music followed. No explanation. Just those words sitting between the stove and the table like something physical. Outside, a dog barked in the distance. Inside, no one spoke. Before that night, the world had been simple. It ended at the bend in the road. Beyond that was elsewhere. Elsewhere was not our concern. We used to eat slowly. Every evening, my father would ask me about school, even when I pretended to complain. My mother would remind him that the winter woodpile needed stacking. I believed the seasons would keep turning the same way forever. The voice on the radio continued, but I stopped hearing it. My father stood up. He crossed the room and adjusted the volume, not louder, just clearer. As if clarity might change the message. It didn't. The voice spoke of mobilization, of duty, of necessity. My mother finally turned around. There was flour on her hands. She wiped them on her apron without looking away from the radio. The room felt smaller. The air felt thinner. When the announcement ended, music returned. But it was the wrong kind of music. Loud, triumphant, almost cheerful. My father reached out and turned the radio off. The silence that followed was heavier than the voice had been. That night we finished dinner without speaking much. The sound of forks against plates seemed too sharp. When I went to bed, I expected morning to fix it. I expected the radio to apologize. Morning came. It did not apologize. The town changed before anyone admitted it had. Men gathered outside the store earlier than usual. Conversations stopped when someone new approached. The church bell rang on a weekday. Posters appeared within days. Then uniforms. My father did not volunteer immediately. He repaired the fence that had not needed repairing. He cleaned tools that were already clean. He avoided the radio at first. But the radio did not avoid us. Every evening it spoke. Updates, movements, speeches delivered in the same steady tone. The calmness of it all felt wrong. One night, I found my father sitting alone in the kitchen long after supper. The radio was on, volume low. They make it sound reasonable, he said quietly, as if reason can survive it. He did not look at me. The letter came 2 weeks later. Official paper, sharp fold, ink too dark. My mother placed it on the table in front of him. She did not sit down. He opened it slowly. Read it once. Read it again. Then he folded it back along the same line. They need everyone, he said. The word everyone felt like a lie. The weeks before he left were quiet in a different way. Not peaceful, suspended, We moved carefully around each other, as if the wrong word might speed time up. At night, the radio grew louder. Speeches, marches, promises of swift victory. I began to hate that voice. It had entered our home without permission. The morning he left, frost covered the grass. The sky was clear and pale. He wore his coat buttoned to the top. The bag at his side looked too small for what it meant. My mother stood straight on the porch. I stood beside her, hands in my pockets to hide their shaking. He knelt in front of me. "Take care of her," he said. "Not be good, not study hard. Take care of her." I nodded. He stood up. He looked at the house once quickly. Then he walked down the dirt road toward town. He did not look back. The radio filled the silence he left behind. It announced victories first, then setbacks, then victories again. The tone never shifted. Letters came for a while. Short ones, careful ones. He wrote about mud, about cold mornings, about men who missed their farms. He never wrote about fear. Then the letters slowed. Then they stopped. One evening, the radio began listing casualties from a recent battle. Units, numbers, locations. My mother stood by the stove, her back straight. The voice continued. I crossed the room. I turned the volume down. The voice kept speaking. I turned it off completely. The silence felt dangerous. My mother did not move. That was the moment I understood. We were no longer waiting for news. We were bracing for it. Winter came hard that year. Snow covered the road he had walked down. I tried to remember the sound of his footsteps in the gravel, but it faded. Months passed. Then came the knock. Not rushed, not hesitant, measured. Two men stood outside. Hats removed, faces composed. My mother listened. She did not interrupt. She did not sway. She thanked them when they finished. They left. The door closed. The house remained standing. But something inside it ended. He never came home, and I knew he never would. The radio stayed on the shelf. We did not throw it away, but we never trusted it again. The war stretched on beyond that winter. The voice continued announcing strategies and borders as if they mattered more than kitchens and porches. I stopped standing at the window at dusk. I stopped asking questions that had no answers. I learned to split wood properly, to carry sacks of grain alone, to speak less. I grew taller, but something in me stayed at that table, listening to a calm voice explain why everything had to change. When the war finally ended, the same radio announced it. Victory. Church bells rang. People cheered in the streets. My mother did not cheer. Neither did I. Victory did not refill the empty chair. Victory did not return the mornings before the static. Years later, I kept the radio. It no longer works well. Sometimes it hums without signal. Sometimes it crackles for no reason at all. On quiet evenings, when the light fades the same way it did that autumn, I sit at the kitchen table and look at it. I do not turn it on, because I remember the exact second music stopped. The exact second a calm voice replaced it. The radio crackled just before sunset. And that was the moment childhood ended, not with a battlefield, but with a sentence spoken softly in a kitchen.